Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my 2023 top 12 running back rankings and tiers post the 2023 NFL Draft. But before we can get on into these running back rankings, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. And if you do want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my top 12 running back rankings and tiers post following the 2023 NFL Draft. We begin with tier number 1, headlined by my number 1 running back on the year, Christian McCaffrey of the San Francisco 49ers, current underdog ADP running back number 1 off the board at pick 2.7. Last year, he was the RB2 in half PPR and the running back 2 in half PPR points per game, playing in 17 games on the season with 16 starts. He had 244 carries, 14.4 per game, ranking 9th at running back, 1,139 rushing yards, 67 per game, ranking 7th, 107 targets, 6.3 per game, second, 85 targets, 5 per game, second, 741 receiving yards, 43.6 per game, number 1, and 13 total touchdowns, number 3 at running back. So going into last season in fantasy football drafts, there were a lot of people that were incredibly nervous to draft Christian McCaffrey because the last couple of years prior to last season, McCaffrey kept getting banged up and people were like, you know what, this bastard is injury prone, he's a bust, do not draft him in 2022. And that was my thought process early on in the offseason. After he burned me in a couple of leagues in 2021, I thought, you know what? I am tired of Christian McCaffrey. But as we kept going, the offseason gets longer. I had an epiphany. It cost me 50 at Tiffany's, like Drake says in that one song. And I realized that, hey, despite the fact that this guy was getting hurt, there's no real way to measure the fact and say that he is for sure injury prone. And if he does play 15, 14 games in 2022, he's going to dominate. Now, I didn't expect him getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers. There were some rumors early on that he was going to get traded, but I didn't know he was going to be a 49er. But at the end of the day, the guy had an amazing season, and I hope that those couple of years where he did burn people, we've kind of thrown that away and realized just the greatness that is Christian McCaffrey. Despite the fact that he only had 4.4 true yards per carry last season, ranking 27th at running back, he was still a top-end running back. So when you're looking at the yards per carry number, or the true yards per carry number, that really affects running backs that run the ball a lot, right? That are known for rushing the rock. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey runs the ball a ton, but he makes his bread and butter catching passes, so it won't affect a guy like McCaffrey as much. 5.7 yards per touch, which includes receptions. 8th at running back, 15 breakaway runs, 0.9 per game, 6th, and 1,071 yards created, 63 per game, number 4. I don't think there's really anything negative you can say about Christian McCaffrey. Everyone knows just how good this motherfucker is, so he's my number 1 running back. He is the head of tier number 1, the head of the table, Roman Reigns style here, as my number 1 running back. At number 2, still in tier number 1, we have Austin Eckler of the LA Chargers, at least as of right now. Underdog ADP running back number 4 at pick 12.1. Now, I do say at least as of right now because there was a rumor that Austin Eckler wants to be traded, that he put in a trade request. We'll see if that ends up going to fruition. I honestly don't think they will end up trading him, but obviously, we shall see. Running back number 1 in half PPR, RB1 in half PPR points per game. 17 games played in 2022, 204 carries, 12 per game. Number 20 at running back, 915 rushing yards, 53.8 per game. Number 17, 128 targets, 7.5 per game. Number 1, 107 receptions, 6.3 per game. Number 1, 722 receiving yards, 42.5 per game. Number 2, and 18 total touchdowns. Number 1 at running back. Now, really the only difference about the Chargers in 2023 compared to 2023 or 2022 is that they did end up drafting a wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, in the first round, but that does not really affect my thought process on Austin Eckler. I think even with QJ on the team, Austin Eckler could still easily get 130 plus targets. He had 128 targets last season. Some interesting efficiency stats. Again, another guy, he only had 4.2 true yards per carry, 34th at running back, but it doesn't fucking matter if you're going to catch a million passes. 5.3 yards per touch, 15th, 1,214 yards created, 71.4 per game, number 2, 3.9 yards created per touch, 4th, and a 36.1% dominator rating, 2nd at running back. Again, another running back where I don't need to get down on my knees and give this guy a metaphorical gawk gawk 9,000 for you to realize just how good Austin Eckler is. If you watch football over the last couple of years, you would have known just how talented Eckler is. Justin Herbert, the pervert, is a check down machine. I think Austin Eckler dominates 50 Shades of Grey style yet again in 2022. At number 3, we have Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons, current underdog ADP running back 2 at pick 7.2. I have mentioned Underdog Fantasy a bunch this video. I talk about their ADP because people are actually putting up money to do these drafts, so I think it is the most reliable ADP as of right now. So if you want to do best ball drafts on Underdog Fantasy, you don't want to wait until late August, early September to do some fantasy football drafts. I did one on my channel yesterday, so if you want to watch that, you can go right ahead. They have a huge best ball tournament, Best Ball Mania 4, $15 million in total prizes, $25 to enter. If you use promo code Notorious or click on the link in the video description down below, they will give you a $100 first match deposit bonus. So you deposit $100, they give you additional $100. If you deposit $20, they'll give you an additional $20. So it's up to a $100, 100% first match deposit bonus. So make sure that you guys do go ahead and check that out, link down below in the video description. So at number 3, we have Bijan Robinson, again, underdog ADP running back 2 at pick 7.2. Now, it was pretty hard to rank Bijan Robinson inside the top 5 or 6 in the offseason because we didn't know which team he was going to get drafted to. Now we know he is an Atlanta Falcon, and this landing spot is mouth-watering. He played in 3 years at Texas from 2020 to 2022 and racked up back-to-back Michael Jordan 96, 97, 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Last year, 12 games played at Texas, 258 rushing attempts, 1,580 rushing yards, 19 receptions for 314 receiving yards, and 20 total touchdowns. Now, just because he only had 19 receptions for 314 yards last year does not mean that this guy cannot be a pass-catching running back at the next level, and I wouldn't be shocked. Obviously, I don't think he's going to put up Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler receiving numbers, but could he get 60 targets, 45 catches? I definitely think that is definitely in the cards for Bijan Robinson. Everyone and their mom loves Bijan Robinson. Obviously, there's a reason why the Atlanta Falcons drafted him so highly in the draft just a couple of days ago. The guy was completely dominant at the college level. You flip on his tape, your eyes will ejaculate, and there's good reason to believe that in Atlanta, a team that force-fed the rock to Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson has the upside to be the #1 running back in fantasy football. Now we move to tier number 2. Now, I don't think these guys are obviously significantly worse than tier number 1 guys, but there's definitely a fall-off, in my opinion. Beginning tier number 2 at number 4 with Jonathan Taylor, JT of the Indianapolis Colts, underdog ADP. Running back number 3 at pick 10.4. JT was on the fringe of being a tier 1 guy, but to be honest with you, I think I would much rather have Bijan, Eckler, and McCaffrey over Jonathan Taylor. RB 34 in half PPR last season, RB 18 in half PPR points per game. He did end up getting hurt. He was the #1 overall pick in a majority of drafts. Obviously, he busted directly on your face like your name was Mia Malkova, but at the end of the day, I think he does bounce back this year pretty easily. A guy with the skill set of Jonathan Taylor doesn't just have one down year and then his career spirals out of control when he's this young, right? It's not like Jonathan Taylor's 30 years old, right? 192 carries in those 11 games, 17.5 per game, 24th, 861 rushing yards, 78.3 per game, number 22, 40 targets, 3.6 per game, 27th, 28 receptions, 2.5 per game, 30th, 143 receiving yards, 13 per game, 47th, and 4 total touchdowns, 41st. He had a 4.2 true yards per carry, 30th at running back. The offensive line in Indy was a disaster. Last season, they were splitting like Moses split the Red Sea, 553 yards created, 48.5 per game, 24th, and a 24.8% dominator rating, a running back's percentage of total team yards and team touchdowns generated on offense, 13th at running back. I think going from that bum Matt Ryan and moving to Anthony Richardson, while I'm not the biggest believer in Anthony Richardson, I think this really does help out the Colts offense. I think they're going to be looking to run a ton with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson because Anthony Richardson is so great at running the ball. I think the Colts offense really does a complete and utter fucking 180, 360 in 2023. They were just so bad in 2022. I think under the new head coach there, they're going to figure things out. Jonathan Taylor, RB number 4. Just push, give last year a nice stiff arm, Derrick Henry style. Don't worry about 2022. I'd be shocked, knock on wood, right? If there's no injury, right? Knock on wood, no injury. Jonathan Taylor will be just fine. The other tier number 2 running back, actually there's 2 more. Number 5, Saquon Barkley, Saquads of the Giants, underdog ADP, running back 5, pick 15.4, RB6 last year in half PPR, RB5 in half PPR points per game. He played in 16 games. He had 295 carries, 18.4 per game, number 4, 1,312 rushing yards, 82 per game, number 4. He had 76 targets, 4.8 per game, number 6, 57 receptions, 3.6 per game, number 7, 338 receiving yards, 21.1 per game, 14th, and 10 total touchdowns, number 10. To kind of backpedal a little bit, if you told me that Bijan Robinson had 76 targets, 57 receptions in 2023, I wouldn't really be surprised. Some interesting efficiency stats for Saquon Barkley. He only had 4.1 true yards per carry, but when you carry the rock, 4th most in the NFL, which he's going to do again in 2023, at least top 5, he'll be just fine. 18 breakaway runs, 1.1 per game, 2nd at running back. 86 evaded tackles, 5.4 per game, 6th. And 1,014 yards created, 63.4 per game, number 5. I love what Brian Daboll did in 2022 with this offense. Really kind of shed the mold that Joe Judge, the gross that Joe Judge left on this offense. Daniel Jones also took a decent-sized leap up. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones isn't the second coming of Patrick Mahomes or something like that, but I do think Daniel Jones is decent enough for this offense to flourish under him. Obviously, they want to run the damn ball. They want to shove the ball down your throat, and Saquon Barkley is going to do that. Now, there are some type of kind of contract issues with Saquon Barkley right now. I doubt he's going to hold out, but that is something kind of to note as we're sitting here in May. Probably won't be an issue, though, come late August, early September. Saquon Barkley, we all know just how good he is, but at this point, like, I just, again, he's kind of like Jonathan Taylor. I just don't feel comfortable enough throwing him in tier number 1. I don't think tier number 1 either should be like 5, 6 guys deep. I think it's like the clear top 3. At number 6, we got 9-inch Nicholas Chubb to clear out tier number 2. Cleveland Browns running back, underdog ADP, RB6, pick 21.5. Despite the trials and tribulations of the Cleveland Browns offense going from Jacoby Brissett to Deshaun Watson, running back number 5 in half PPR, RB number 6 in half PPR points per game. And guess what? Seemingly, Kareem Hunt is gone, and 9-inch Nicholas Chubb might be in for the most receptions of his career. Though I will note, to put a big fucking pin in this, while Kareem Hunt might be gone, doesn't necessarily mean Chubb's going to get all the targets, because when Hunt was hurt in the past, Chubb was kind of still just like a 1, maybe 2 reception guy a game, right? He's not magically turning into 6 receptions, 5 receptions a game, right? So, again, RB5 and half PPR, RB6 and half PPR points per game, 17 games played, 302 carries, 17.8 per game, number 3, 1,525 rushing yards, 89.7, number 3, 37 targets, 2.2 per game, number 31, 27 receptions, 1.6 per game, number 33, 239 receiving yards, 14.1 per game, number 24, and 13 total tugs, number 3 at running back. I know his teammate Deshaun Watson loves getting that many tugs, if you know what I'm saying. Some interesting efficiency stats: 4.8 true yards per carry, 5 regular yards per carry, number 9 at running back, 5.4 yards per touch, 13th, 40.4% juke rate, 4th, 984 yards created, 57.9 per game, number 6. Great season out of Nick Chubb. Again, even though that Browns offense was up and down, it was a fucking roller coaster ride like you're at Six Flags Great Adventure, all right? But in 2023, while Watson was pretty bad last year, right? Now, I don't even necessarily assume that he's going to kind of invigorate himself as this top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's going to be better than last year. This offense should be humming, you know, like a fucking motorcycle. I was trying to make a noise. Not the best at making noises, but it is what it is. Nick Chubb, I like him this year a ton. Seems like every year I'm kind of low on Nick Chubb, and he just finishes as like a top 8 guy every year. He feels incredibly safe, and he also has a lot of upside, especially if this Browns offense really does turn things around. Now we move to tier number 3 again. If you have ended up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button whether you are new to the channel or not. We got Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Underdog ADP, running back number 10 at pick 28.2. Running back number 3 in half PPR last year, RB number 4. He is just the tip of a cock away from being in tier number 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get, video Nick's top 12 running backs in August, and Josh Jacobs is in there. I love Josh Jacobs. I really do. Kind of worried about the fact that Jimmy G's the starting quarterback. But Josh Jacobs should be fine. Jacobs was a guy that I full-on faded last year. I thought Josh McDaniels, new head coach. Josh McDaniels loves the RBBC, the running back by committee. And by like week 2, there was no such thing as running back by committee, and Josh Jacobs, the fucking animal, the beast that he is, he took over. RB3.5 PPR, RB4 in points per game, 17 games played, 340 carries, 20 per game. Number 2 running back, 1,653 rushing yards, 97.2 per game, almost 100 rushing yards per game. Number 1 in running back, 65 targets, 3.8 per game, 11th, 53 receptions, 3.1, 10th, 400 receiving yards, 23.5 per game, 8th, and 12 total touchdowns, 6th. One of the things Josh Jacobs also added to his game last year was he finally got those receptions. I know if you guys remember back in the day when Gruden was the coach of the Raiders, there was a lot of talk about Gruden saying, oh, Jacobs going to get more targets, and then he never really did. But last year, he finished top 12 in targets and receptions as well as receiving yards, so that was great for him. I don't think there's a big step down from Jimmy Guap, Derek Carr to Jimmy Guap, but again, I don't love it. I just don't love it. I prefer like that Jack Harlow song. I prefer Carr to Garoppolo. I don't think that's really a hot take. Some interesting efficiency stats, though. Again, even if the quarterback situation is slightly worse, like Jacobs is just really that good. 1,233 yards created, 72.5 per game, number 1. 4.6 true yards per carry, 23rd. 5.2 yards per touch, 18th. 31.3% juke rate. Again, when you're a running back that gets as many carries as Josh Jacobs, if you're not averaging fucking 5.3 true yards per carry, it is what it is. You get so many carries, it don't matter. The only problem, again, though, is like the Raiders just kind of stink. So when you have a running back on a team that stinks, it's hard to really be super confident in them because they're going to fade away from the running game, but he does catch enough passes to kind of negate that. That is one of my worries about Bijan Robinson. Kind of to go back to him, but the Falcons just ran so much with Algier last year. It kind of just washes away my worries. At number 8, tier number 3 still, Breece Hall of the Jets, underdog ADP, RB8, pick 26.5. If you told me that Breece Hall was going to be 100% healthy week number 1, I am moving Breece Hall to probably tier number 2, if I'm being honest with you. I think if we know he's good to go, look, year in and year out, people fall for the Jets. They fall for teams like the Jets, right? We fell for the Broncos, right? Bring in Russell Wilson, this, that, the other thing. Jets bring in Rodgers. Things should be better. Look, Breece Hall was dominant with fucking Zach Wilson as his quarterback. So, like, it's not, you don't need to be a rocket scientist like Matt Patricia to figure out that Breece Hall is probably going to be good. RB 42.5 PPR, though he was RB 7.5 PPR points per game. He played in 7 games last season, but he only had 2 starts. They were going with like a Michael Carter ragtag crew of him and Breece Hall early on. Then obviously we saw Zonovan Knight later on in the season. 80 carries, 11.4 per game, 52nd. 463 rushing yards, 66.1 per game, 44th. 32 targets, 4.6 per game, 40th. 19 receptions, 2.7 per game, 49th. 218 receiving yards, 31.1 per game, 27th. 5 total touchdowns. In terms of efficiency, this guy was about as efficient as it gets. 6.9 yards per touch. Very nice. I like. First, 50.5% juke rate, first. 11.3 breakaway run rate, second. 5.3 true yards per carry, third. On that garbage Jets offense. Now, the Jets offensive line was getting absolutely torched, right? Every year it seems like, oh, the Jets are going to have a good old line, and they all just get fucking hurt for some reason. But hopefully this year they're able to stay more healthy. Again, I'm not some type of Jets dick rider here. I don't think the Jets are going to be as good as people think they are. But I still think even if they're not the best, Breece Hall will be fine. Because again, Breece Hall was good with the bad quarterbacks in New York. At number 9, we got Derrick Henry. Now, I have him ranked at RB number 9. It feels like he's gonna hit me again, right? He's going to make me just disappointed again. Because every year, I kind of feel like, look, Derrick Henry's getting older. His yards per carry continues to decline, right? It's basically decreased every year since 2020. It was 5.4 in 2020, 4.3 in 2021, 4.4 in 2022. But it doesn't fucking matter because the Titans just want to run the rock down your throat with Derrick Henry. They brought in Will Levis, Mayo boy. They have Ryan Tannehill. Who knows who the quarterback's going to be for most of the games. Wouldn't shock me if Will Levis played like half the games, maybe even a majority of the games next season. Regardless of who the quarterback is, though, they're going to run with Henry. There's also been rumors, though, of Derrick Henry potentially getting traded. but we've already made it past the draft. Maybe we see it happen. But right now, I'm pretty confident he's going to be a Titan, just like I'm comfortable saying that Eckler is going to be a Charger. 16 games played, RB 4.5 PPR, 3.5 PPR points per game, 249 carries. I mean, just a fucking monster. 21 carries per game, 21.8 per game, number 1. 1,538 rushing yards, 96.1 per game, number 2. 41 targets, 2.6 per game, 26th. 33 receptions, 2.1 per game, 25th. 398 receiving yards, 9th at running back, 24.9 per game, and 13 total touchdowns, number 3. The only negative argument you can make about Henry is that he doesn't catch enough passes. I understand the Titans' offense is as good as Dick Cheese, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter when you give the guy. Mike Vrabel wants to, again, like I said, pound the rock. They want to feed the ball down Derrick Henry's throat. So, regardless of the fact that he's getting older, right? 29 years old. The fact is, he's just going to keep doing it. Doesn't matter where I rank him. I could rank him RB 50. I could rank him RB 20, and he's still going to be like a top 10 guy. It doesn't matter. Top 5 guy, maybe even. Again, top 5 guy last year. And I just liked him. How many times am I going to be wrong before I readjust? So I've adjusted. I've got him top 10. Problem is, there's so many good running backs in the NFL. There's so much youth. So much youth. I know McCaffrey and Eckler aren't that young. But Bijan Robinson, pretty young. JT, young. Saquon Barkley, getting a little bit older, but not super old. Same thing with 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. Josh Jacobs, pretty young. Breece Hall, young. So Derrick Henry's at running back number 9. Again, he's probably going to be a top 3 running back. I'm going to look like a fucking buffoon. But I got him top 10 RB. One day, the fall-off's going to happen. It's gonna. We can see it coming. The yards per carry number is dropping like it's hot. But, again, I'm not trying to... It's like trying to predict Tom Brady's fucking downfall. It just doesn't happen for Derrick Henry. To close out tier number 3, we got Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevens' season of the New England Patriots. Underdog ADP running back number 11 at pick 30.5. Again, if you have made it this far in the video, we're about 20-ish minutes in the video, you have probably enjoyed it, right? You listen to me speak sweet nothings into your ear for 20 minutes. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are new. Going to be trying to do in the offseason every day, Monday through Friday. And then as we get closer to the fantasy football drafts becoming more and more important, like July, August, every day a week, maybe even multiple videos a day. We'll see how things go during the season, obviously. Post a shit ton of content, so make sure you do subscribe. I know it's May. It's early, but I still love making these videos. It's just so fun. So back on into things. Not like you guys care about that shit. So running back number 11.5 PPR, running back 14.5 PPR points per game, tied with Kenny Walker, who, spoiler alert, is not a top 12 running back because of Zach Charbonnet, but we will be talking about him because we're going to make a top 24 video, talk about the other running backs that didn't make the cut in this video. He played in 17 games last year for a Patriots offense that was mid at best. 210 carries, 12.4 per game. He was really the sole bright spot of that offense. 17th running back, 1,040 rushing yards, 61.2 per game. 12th, 89 targets, 5.2 per game. Third at running back, 69 receptions. Very nice. 4.1 per game. Fourth, 421 receiving yards. Would have been very funny if he had 69 receptions, 420 receiving yards if you're like 12 years old. That would have really chuckled you. And I have the brain of a 12-year-old at the age of 23, almost 24. It's almost my birthday. So yeah, I probably would have found that funny too. 24.8 per game, number 7 at running back, 6 total touchdowns, number 22. Efficiency stats-wise, 957 yards created. 7th at running back, 3.43 yards created per touch. 7th, 4.63 yards per carry, 18th, and 113 evaded tackles, 6.6 per game, number 3. Great season, again. Sole bright spot of the offense. Patriots offense was really bad. I think under Bill O'Brien now taking over as the O coordinator, I think things are going to get a lot better for this offense. Again, I don't really see Mac Jones as like this ceiling quarterback, but like Mac Jones is like Jimmy G or Derek Carr. I mean, maybe that's a slight to Derek Carr and Jimmy G, but he's not that bad. I don't like him. I think they wasted a pick on him, but I don't think he's that bad. Like, I think Stevenson can get it done with him. And Stevenson's also sneaky good at catching passes. Again, 89 targets, 69 receptions, 421 receiving yards. He only scored 6 touchdowns. Have to think that's going to change in 2023. So, I like Stevenson. He doesn't really have much competition around him. The only problem is that the Patriots just always seem to use 2 running backs. And I just can't get that out of my mind. That, like, out of nowhere, like an RKO from Randy Orton, some random running back you've never even heard of in your life ends up getting carries for the Patriots. But I don't think that's the case anymore, so I'm trying to push that that thought process out of my mind. So now we move to tier number 4, and it's like Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's just Tony Pollard sitting there. You know when everyone moves out in that show, and he's just like standing on the carpet, like kind of sad? That's what Tony Pollard's looking like here. In tier number 4, Dallas Cowboys, underdog ADP, running back 7, pick 22.8. Definitely have him behind ADP, but I hope you understand why once I talk about it. RB 7.5 PPR, RB 9.5 PPR points per game last season. 16 games played with 4 starts, 193 carries, 12.1 per game, 23rd, 1,007 rushing yards, 69.2 per game, 15th, 55 targets, 3.4 per game, 16th, 39 receptions, 2.4 per game, 17th, 371 receiving yards, 23.2 per game, 12 touchdowns, 12 total touchdowns, 6th at running back, 4.7 true yards per carry, 13th, 5.9 yards per touch, 5th, 8.8% breakaway run rate, 4th. I don't know why the fuck I can't say breakaway run rate. It's like some type of a fucking riddle. I almost say breakaway run weight every single time. And then 6.9, nice. Average defenders in the box, 8th at running back. So even though they were loading up the box, Tony Pollard still succeeded. My issue is that they don't really have anyone outside of Tony Pollard, and they got rid of Zeke. But this kind of reeks like Zeke comes back. Like we've kind of already the tea leaves, a little birdie has been whispering like, oh, Zeke could come back. This reeks of Zeke coming back. Now, again, Tony Pollard's way better than Zeke, but we all know deep down Jerry Jones has like some type of fucking love affair for Ezekiel Elliott. Again, I love Tony Pollard. I like the Cowboys offense. I don't even hate him, right? He's my running back 11. It's not like I'm fucking slandering this guy's name, right? I'm not running through the streets saying Tony Pollard's a bust, right? I don't love him at running back 7. I got him at running back 11. But it's just kind of my opinion. I really feel like Zeke's going to roll back on into town and vulture some more touchdowns, because we all know that's what's going to happen, right? Like deep down, even if you're like the biggest Tony Pollard lover, you are a Tony Pollard, a TPE, a Tony Pollard enthusiast, you probably know deep down this is probably going to happen. And at number 12, tier number 5, now this is where we fake people out, we juke people out, because everyone's going to be talking about, oh man, Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, one of these other running backs. Nah, motherfucker, we got Jamir Gibbs. Gibby of the Detroit Lions. Underdog ADP, running back 15, pick 39.9. He played his first 2 years in college at GT, aka Georgia Tech, before joining up with Alabama, joining up with a super team like his name was Kevin fucking Durant in 2022. 12 games played in 2022 at 20 years old, 151 rushes for 926 yards. I apologize. 44 receptions for 444 yards. So many fours, you would think you were at Wendy's, with a 12.8% target share. 12.8% target share. I wrote it twice. I've always wondered when people watch my videos, if you guys think that when I say these like things like about like Wendy's or I make a joke, do you guys think I have that written down? None of that's written down. I just always kind of wonder if people think that, because my sheet, it's 4 pages. It's just a bunch of stats that I read off with the rankings, obviously, on them. 99th percentile 40-yard dash. Fast as fuck. Lightning McQueen, 4.36. 91st percentile speed score, 110.1. 5'9", 199 pounds. Not the tallest guy, not the biggest guy, but the guy's fast. I like to think of him as Alvin Kamara or DeAndre Swift. Now, the Lions, you don't just draft a running back as high as you drafted Jamir Gibbs. You don't fucking trade away DeAndre Swift if you don't believe with every ounce in your body that Jamir Gibbs is that guy. Now, they have David Montgomery. He's probably going to vulture a bunch of touchdowns. We got to accept that. But Jamir Gibbs' season in Detroit with this offense, especially with Jameson Williams out early, I think we're going to see a lot of receptions for the Gibby man, Jamir Gibbs. I'm big on Jamir Gibbs. Throw on his tape. It's beautiful. Watch the tape. Look at the landing spot. Jared Goff likes dumping the ball off. Makes a lot of sense that Jamir Gibbs could be a top 12 running back. So we're going to run it back next week with the top 24. Talk about guys 13 through 24. Going to probably do wide receiver rankings tomorrow. We're going to touch on quarterbacks, tight ends as well in the future. It's a long off season. It's only May, but things are creeping up. I know the Dolphins. I'm a Dolphins fan. May 12th through 14th is rookie minicamp. Things are starting to happen. It's almost watching guys catch footballs in shorts season. My favorite time of the year. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed, like button. I love you guys. And as always, good boy.